So then we had to take her back to the San Diego airport, put her back together, and it took her a whole year to get her foot back. That was devastating. I think I knew that I was ready, but I wasn't ready to accept the results of what was happening. And so we said, Lord, if this is the gifts that God has given us, you've given us, we're ready to complete that mission. So as she recovered the next year, 2007, she went again on the same medical mission trip. And God blessed her. She was okay at this time. I said, watch that stairs because it's unsafe. It's not according to OSHA regulation. I have pictures and everything. I said, those Mexicans, they don't know how to do that. You know. But anyway, but God basically, you know, I had all the excuses. I could have said, honey, that's it. We're done, we're done, we're done. This is not good. But see, in my heart, I know God has given us gifts. You know, we're ready. We're ready. So there's no reason for me just because she had an accident. So she went. And then the next year, 2008, this is our second term at a church, at an Anglo church that's growing. We were part of the leadership, and they planted 2 churches. It went from it doubled every year. And so God is doing a great thing, and we're very content. Our kids had a great student ministry. But our heart, because of what God is saying through the gifts, we weren't satisfied. Because I knew that there are gifts that God has given me that I would not be honoring, glorifying to Him, to stay content in that white Anglo church in Pennsylvania. So I went to the elder and I said, look, this is God's calling. It's stewardship of my gifts. God did not make an accident to bring a Vietnamese kid at the age of 12 to the United States, went to high school, went to college, engineering school, then worked through Bible school, so that I can sit here and continue to serve with an Anglo congregation. And I don't know, you remember, honey, that night where there was no electricity, and we were sitting wrestling with the elders. There was no electricity. It was so hot. It was like this. And it was dark. There was 10 of the elders and me and my wife. And I said to them, I said, look, we need you to pray and bless us because we want to be a good stewards of God's gifts. And even if we go to Vietnam and we don't do anything, that's okay. And the reason I come to that point is because I started having problems with my health, diabetes and so on. And that was the bell that God was ringing, you know. God was saying, wake up, wake up. I have these gifts for you and you must use them. At the time, I only had 24 years with the federal government. And that was only, 46, 47. So I had to work another 8 years in order to retire. I had to make it to 55. And my bosses and everybody laughed at me and they said, look, stay. In fact, the pastors and the elders actually said, why? You could stay and take your retirement. And this is the reason why. In our hearts, we knew that God has prepared us and He has given us gifts. And it's not about the results, but it's about our heart willing to give it to Him, whatever that is. So we came back to our vision trip. We sold not sold right away, but we started renting our house, and then we moved on with faith. In fact, the church had no money because we're planting another church, buy another building. There was no budget, and of course our American brothers are very, very calculating. They're business guys, where's the budget? Young, we got no money for you. Why don't you wait another 5 years? We'll raise that. And I said, by that I might not live. So I said to them, look, I saved up this money in my kids' education. Why don't I go home and ask these boys if it's okay that we're willing to use that money? And I thought these guys didn't want to go, so I said, okay. We went home and we prayed as a family, and we said, sons, will you guys be willing to do this? And they said, yes, let's go, Dad. You don't remember. These guys did. They're witnesses. You were too small for that. But God gave the go-ahead. And so we went back to the elders and we said, look, the money is there. God is already giving us the treasure. We're hanging on to it. Now, you pray. If it is that we are ready, then bless us to go. And so they did. Just to tell you the story, 1 year in Vietnam was what we did. And then we came back here, we just started driving to Houston. And that's what we did. And so just to let you know, I'm not standing here to say that, oh, this guy is very, spiritual and all that stuff. No, I'm not. My wife knows I'm really messed up. God has to ring this bell until I get sick, goes to the hospital, get surgery and all that kind of stuff, for me to come to terms with the reality that, yeah, I do have a coin, and I better not waste it. So tonight, I just want to impress upon you, if you're a junior hire and you're sitting here and you say, what is my coin? Honey, can you pass those things out? What's my coin? You have the time. You have the gifts. You can serve Him. If you're a senior, you have the time. You have the gifts. You might not have the treasure. I'm sure you don't have the treasure because you're not working. But you have the gifts. And you're in college. You have gifts. You could do that. Okay? So I want you to consider. These are the, I call it ministry teams. These are the things that, I would prefer that you volunteer to serve. But remember, I'm not asking you to do more. Okay? This is very important because remember what I said about the parable of the talents? It's not about how much. Okay, there's over there needing more. It's not about how much. It's about whether you're faithful. Now, if God gives you the treasure, you give. God gives you the time, you give. God gives you the talent, you give. All right? And on the bottom of that sheet, I also say, if you're already doing this, I'm not asking you to do more. You know why? You know why? Because if you do more, you don't have time to be with Jesus Christ. Because you'll be too busy. And you miss the whole point. But I'm asking for those of you who are sitting here and you're reflecting on your gifts and your talents, ask yourself the question. Write your name down and go through the list and say, I might be interested in this. Okay? So, let me pray for you. And we're going to end it here. And maybe the band can come up and lead a song.